All right, everybody. We got good news and bad news. Probably more bad news than good news. Depends on how you see it. I know some people rejoice over the fact that, if they didn't invest something and then something gets taken away, then they're like, oh, look at me. I'm so fancy. I didn't invest. And screw all you other people that did invest. That being what it is. So the situation today is that we finally got information on why the air battle is not here, why it's not going to be in the update tomorrow. Things are being delayed. They're not exactly saying things are delayed. They haven't really made any announcement on that. But this is the reading between the lines. So they put out a post today, just a couple hours ago, giving us information on the upcoming air battle and Smuggler's Run 3. Smuggler's Run 3 is probably the good news here. It's confirming that we're getting something for Pirate King Hondo. The bad news is the air battle that we were expecting today to drop. It was supposed to be in the game last week, and then it was supposed to come out today. It was a bad sign that it wasn't in the game last week. We thought maybe, okay, an update comes out on the early part of the week. That's not going to be the case. So this August, gather your new pirate forces and set sail for the next era battle, Raiders of the Outer Rim. Now, previously they had mentioned this, although they kind of said something weird, so I thought it was a different name. But if we look back at their Era of Piracy post, they mentioned this era battle, Raiders of the Outer Rim. Plunder and pillage, that's all they said here. I thought that's what the name was. But I guess it makes sense that Raiders of the Outer Rim is the name. Well, why does that suck? That's because this is the only era battle they talk about in the Era of Piracy post where they go over all the marquees and everything. That's the only one. So I think for a lot of us, we assumed this would be the first one. It was a little concerning that they didn't mention two. But the cadence seen with previous era battles is also the planned cadence for this event. So one could assume that, okay, this is the first one and they'll get to the second one later. Why would we assume this? If we look at the cadence map that they provided us way back when, it showed us this is the Nightfall Air Battle because it's Oppo, CX2, DCT, and Scorch. This is how it's going to run. Then Jedi Temple Guardian and Deepa are going to come out leading up to Mace Windu. So this green one is Crimes Against the Republic Air Battle. Well, the next part of this is the Pirate Era, where we have 3 purple marquees. This would be Ithano, Quiggled, and Kix, followed by, I don't know what the order of it was, but Brutus, Silvo, and Vane, I think it is. We go back here and look. Let's see, who are they? Yeah, Vane, Brutus, and Captain Silva. Okay, so this purple one is supposed to be the next era battle that we have, and then the blue one would be the second era battle that we have for the Pirates era. Some people are being like, no, they're just delaying it. So some people thought it would be delayed a week because of this, right? Where you see the blue marquees are starting, but the blue era battle doesn't come out until the week after, the second marquee. I think this was actually the mistake here. Why do I think this is the mistake? Because this is just copying the previous era, right? Where we had it separated 4-2. So it should be separated 3-3, but they just copy and pasted, which, I mean, let's be honest, we've seen them do countless times where they just copy and paste other Datacron information, or they copy and paste something from a previous post. No big deal, right? Okay, so even if there's a delay, people expected that it was on purpose. And then people further speculated that they swapped them, that they're going to be delaying a week, and then we'll do the purple era battle. It'll start over here rather than over here. The problem is, with this announcement here, right, that it's going to start in August and there only being one listed, Raiders of the Outer Rim, Raiders Out of the M is coming in August. Well, this is what is this week? July 8th. So this would be, I'm so bad at date math, July 15th, July 22nd. Then July 30 or July 29th, and then August 5th. So this would be August 5th. And then we know, so we're in August. That's the end of the first 3 marquees. There's not time for another era battle for this era. We're going to release that one, and then we're going to be on to the next era. So there's only one era battle coming in this era of piracy. Okay? Well, we knew things were subject to change, right? They said that. They said that here, subject to change. Very clear. That's fine. I don't have an issue personally with the fact that we're reducing the number of era battles, kind of changing the deal, because you can invest in these era battles on an individual basis. Like, okay, it's everybody's decision as to whether they're going to invest in an era, an entire era, or they're going to invest in only a couple tunes, a couple marquees for a given era battle. That's fine. They can change this, no expectation. That's what we all knew, right? Era battles are replacing assault battles. Assault battles, we wanted on a monthly basis. It seemed like every other assault battle had that same cadence. So we were mad when they decided, no, we're just going to start rotating them out. Understandable. They release era battles. Clearly their response to that. They're going to be limited time events. They're not guaranteed. It's going to be subject to change. Cool. Fine. No problems. The issue is that you're releasing this post and letting us know that it's not until August. You're letting us know that there's only going to be one, not at the beginning of the era. It's not following the same cadence that you said it was. So this isn't update to change. This was like 2 days before the Ithano event. You let us know it's going to be the same. This isn't the same cadence. So you had this information because it's the same era battle. Same era battle. I'm not saying Meathead had the information, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting any of this on Meathead. Meathead had, as far as I'm concerned, Meathead gets the benefit of the doubt. Meathead only knows what they tell him to put out. It's his job to put out whatever they tell him. No control over this. Meathead is good in my book. No issues whatsoever. So please don't construe any of this as a Meathead problem. Meathead is doing his job and he's putting out what he's supposed to do. And he's a good community manager in my book. He takes our concerns, sends them back. It's not his fault if they don't answer or they don't give sufficient answers, okay? But the fact is, this information is coming out after everybody's already invested in Ithano. Why did they invest in Ithano? Because you said it was going to be the same as the previous ones, and we all know that Ithano was, well, the first marquee is required in order to unlock tier 2 of the event and get all those shards. I put out a video telling people this is the smart move. Now, granted, I told them things could change. Still, it feels bad when I put out information based on information the CG has given me, and then they up and change it. So it feels bad right now. So what does this mean? We're only getting one. We're presumably, they could change this, but presumably based on, further splitting hairs of this announcement here that it's going to be the same cadence, I think we're left to assume that it's going to be 12, right? 4 weeks of 2 era battles per week, and then 4 more of 1 era battle per week. So we're getting 12 era battles. Rewards could be all over the map. We have no idea what the rewards are. I wouldn't expect that we do know what the rewards are going to be. They even said they're changing things up to some degree for last year for Hondo. So I'm not going to make any more speculation as to what the rewards are. I would guess there's going to be shards, but honestly, I don't know. And the really big reason why it matters that they waited to put this information out is because it's now going to throw off the Ithano farm or make the Ithano farm completely irrelevant. And let me explain why. So, previously, right, when we have the air battle, let me go back. Let me find out where I want to be here. Okay. So what should have happened is I suggested that people get to 5 stars in order to get the shards for the, I suggested people get to 5 stars in order to farm tier 1 and tier 2 of the entire air battle so that they could get those shards. Now, you still might end up getting those shards if some things happen and they fall into place, okay? Because what would happen is you would farm this marquee, get it to 5 stars, and then you would be able to get, 17 to 22 shards here, 17 to 22 shards here, so on and so forth, right? Each of these you'd get 17 to 22 shards. Now, the suggestion was 7 shards below 5 stars, right? And the reason for this Some people didn't do this. Some people got lucky in their packs. But the reason is you were going to get 7 shards here on the tier 1 of this first era battle. And it was going to be guaranteed that it would be Captain Ithano. Why? Because there's only one toon, one marquee released so far for that era battle. That's why in Oppo, on the first weeks of Oppo's release and then era battle, we only got Oppo shards, right? Makes sense. The problem is they switched it, right? Even with the delays, we were thinking, okay, well, it's just going to come out next week. Well, even if it comes out at the same time, but it comes out later and the update releases, this update, whatever update would fall between the first and second marquees, is putting the second marquee in the game. We know from all the era battles in the previous era, when they put the next marquee in the game, those marquee shards end up in the era battle even before the marquee begins. What does that mean? That means you are not guaranteed in Captain Ithano drop in the first tier. So you could end up getting quiggled, and then you have to spend to get another 7 shards because otherwise you miss tier 2. That's how it changes the math. Now, it's kind of the same whether that comes here or over here if quiggled is in the same update that the era battle drops in. That's why the era battle was supposed to drop the week before, right? It was supposed to drop in the week that Captain Ithano was in. The era battle would drop. Quiggled's not in the game. We do the era battle. We can only get Captain Ithano. Guarantees the 7 shards. Guarantees 5 stars. Guarantees tier 2 of the event. Now we're switching it up. So we're going all the way to August. We're skipping this one. We're skipping this week. We're going past this one, and then we're into August. Now, August is a long month. August is 4 weeks. It could be this one. It could be this one. It could be this one, or it could be this one. We don't know. And it's no longer 2 marquees. So your chances of getting Ithano greatly decrease. If we're here and you have a 58 out of 65 4-star Captain Ithano, when you go to tier 1 of the marquee battle, even if the rewards are exactly the same as they were in the other era battles, you have a 1 in 3 chance. You have a 33% chance to get Captain Ithano. Or if it falls on a Wednesday, like all the other era battles are currently right now, and even though they mess things up, if that ends up being the case and it's Wednesday, Friday cadence, then you have 4 in there because this isn't a blue marquee anymore. This is all one color. This is the only era battle that we're getting for this era. So you have a 25% chance if they include this one and a 20% chance if they include this one. So how does that change the math? Well, we're 7 short. We got to buy another pack and hope we get 7. If you're unlucky and you have that 30% chance of 5, you got to buy 2 packs in order to get it. So it greatly changes the spending there. That's one aspect why this is all problematic. Why waiting here? Because if we knew this ahead of time, a lot of people would have just invested to 5 stars at the beginning of the marquee event. They would have took advantage of the entire marquee event, getting all those extra shards, getting the Omicrons for the first time runs, getting all the advantage. People made decisions based on this information that they released over here and over here, but over here too, that if we invested in Captain Ithano, we were going to able to get rewards for that investment. All of that is now out the window. Now, one possible future is that it stays the same relatively. The rewards stay the same. It's released later, and we can still use our 4-star 58 out of 65 Captain Ithano. Maybe we get lucky. Maybe we end up having to buy a pack or 2, and we can still go on as planned and get those era battle shards. The problem is, because it's coming so late, we don't have any real justification for concluding that Captain Ithano is going to be in the era battle. If they took this one out, if they just decided to axe this era battle, Captain Ithano, Quiggled, and Kix might not be relevant for this era battle. If they did plan on splitting it up 3-3 and then they just axed one, kind of like whatever the Bad Batch plan was, and they just axed it, we could end up seeing that this era battle is only for the skeleton crew and you need Brutus to start the era battle. In which case, this investment was entirely pointless. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying that's an alternative. That's a possible outcome. And that would suck. Why? Because they released this information after the Captain Ithano event, after they already saw that we paid for Captain Ithano. It's kind of BS. Now, People can say that it wasn't intentional. People can say that it was intentional. We will never know. That is between CG and the employees there and God, for all I know. We don't know what their plan was. We don't know if this was shady tactics. We don't know if it was an intentional just to get money and get spending on Captain Ithano when they knew it wasn't going to be required. We have no clue. But it doesn't matter what their intention was, because this is how it feels. Either it's an inadvertent rug pull or it's an intentional rug pull. They knew that we were going to do this. We may not know what they're going to do, but they know damn well what our behaviors are going to be, because that's what they base their decisions on. That's what the whole microtransactions, all of it is geared towards. They have psychological experts that come in and figure out how to get us to spend more. They know that with the way they released the previous air battles here, that we're going to spend in order to take advantage of that same thing. And they know that we're sensitive to changes because they put subject to change here. But subject to change means that we don't get to complain about it when they decide ultimately that this is going to change. And they're not going to do 2 air battles. They're only going to do 1. But they have to give us sufficient notice. It's fine if they change things. It's not cool if they change things after they see us spending money and they wait purposefully for us to spend money and then decide to change the information. That's not what subject to change is meant to protect. You're just being scummy if that's what you're doing. And even if you're not intending to be scummy, even if you accidentally, somehow, all the people, nobody in that office, I don't know how many employees work there, but every single employee didn't look at this and be like, wait a minute, that's kind of unfair. Why did we do that? We should release something. We should say something. Even if every single employee was just completely, they just completely overlook that fact. Do a make good. Do a make good somehow. Don't let us have spent all this money on Ithano for no reason when they're just going to change things up and make him not relevant, or, reduce the amount that we need or the amount that we get from the air battles for Hondo, right? Because in this situation, when we invest in the 6 marquees for Mace Windu, we get 2 air battles worth of content. We get 2 air battles worth of rewards. Now, the first 2 are impossible. Okay, so you axe Oppo, the first 2 for Oppo. You axe the first 2 for Jedi Temple Guardian. Okay, so you still get 20 air battles where we can get the max reward. 20 air battles. Now we're getting 12 if we're lucky, because people people are so quick to be like, I told you so. I told you so. You complained about it. This is what you get. This is what you get. Okay. The argument is stupid. Why is the argument stupid? Because we know that the air battle is coming in August. When's Pirate King Hondo getting here? Let's go back and look at the cadence. Well, this is August. This is September. Hondo's here in September. When the air battle releases in August, we're still not going to be able to complete the final tiers. Why do you say that? Because it specifically calls out that he's going to have a tier dedicated just for him. A bonus tier. Next air battle, Raiders of the Outer Rim, Galactic Legend Hondo, with his legendary love for a good score, in addition to the normal final tier, is bringing a bonus tier requiring Hondo himself, ensuring you'll haul in even more booty with him at your side. Then he's also required in Smuggler's Run 3. But Smuggler's Run 3 aside, he's required for the final bonus tier. When this air battle releases in August, he won't be here yet. So that's a stupid argument for those people making it out there that, oh, you guys complained about the air battle wasn't doable, so they changed it. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with they wanted to reduce the number of air battles for operational reasons, for development reasons, development costs, whatever. Maybe we were getting too many rewards. It wasn't a good deal for them. Whatever it be, they changed it for their own reasons, not because we complained about it. It has nothing to do with that. Otherwise, they'd be addressing the complaints. They're not. They're still releasing an air battle where we can't do the final tier because the characters aren't out yet. Plain and simple. People say, oh, well, the deal it was too good. The rewards were too good. Okay, well, if the rewards were too good, why did they add more for the second air battle? If they knew the rewards were too good here, why did they go and add more rewards here? If 2 were okay to get the air battle done, and it took some incredible RNG and people were like, oh man, this is frustrating. They went here. They did make it easier. I'll give them that, but they still required 2 to get it done. They wouldn't even let you try it with Jedi Temple Guardian alone. And Deepa ultimately wasn't a requirement in the same way because Mace came out at the same time Deepa did. So you could try it with Jedi Temple Guardian and Deepa. I'm not sure if anybody... Well, no, you couldn't because they just outright required Mace. So how is that addressing the issue of too much rewards or making it doable on release? It's not. They didn't correct anything here. They actively increased the rewards. And by all accounts, according to this bonus tier, whatever this means, because like whatever tier they include as a bonus tier, I don't know. I don't know how they're deciding what's normal and what's bonus, because Mace's wasn't normal. They added 2,000 crystals to the final tier compared to where we were at with the previous air battle. So I don't know what normal and bonus is, but by all accounts, it seems that they're increasing rewards further with Hondo. So if they're increasing rewards, how are rewards too good? And they needed to change things up. I don't buy that either. I think they just wanted to go ahead and reduce the number of air battles. Plain and simple. So my only issue with all of this in the reduction is that they could have just told us that they were doing this. I know for a fact, because people have been commenting, people have been sharing, people have been in my DMs, letting me know that they were investing in Captain Ithano, whether it be because of my video suggested it or not. I don't know, probably to some degree, but people were investing in Captain Ithano for the sole purpose of taking advantage of the air battles, myself included. I have a 5-star Captain Ithano right now. It's going to be all but irrelevant. Maybe he's enough. I just don't understand that he would be. It's not likely in my mind that Captain Ithano is going to be enough once we get to this era battle over here. Additionally, another reason it's a waste and another reason they should have told us is because if it still only requires any character like the previous 2 era battles to get the 2 first tiers done, I sure as hell wasn't going to invest in Captain Ithano. 1, because I didn't even know he was a character, even though I watched The Force Awakens. 2, he's the earliest one, as many people have pointed out, and you don't want to invest in the earliest one. If the air battle is dropping here, I want to invest in this marquee or this marquee. Kix is a clone trooper. That's another reason I want Kix. But that aside, we wouldn't have invested in Honda or Ithano, and they know that. So that's why I believe it was intentional. They didn't want to affect Captain Ithano sales when they knew they had lured us into thinking that we'll get rewards for that. Oh, sorry, plan changed. And we're still not letting you know what the requirements are of the air battle. So, because you don't know, you don't want to miss out on it. Make sure you invest in Quiggle too. Oh, we're still not telling you the requirements, even though we know them. So go ahead and invest in Kix too. You don't want to miss out. Right? If we do the air battle and you don't have these, then you're not going to be able to do it, or you're going to have to buy packs and it's going to cost more. So make sure you invest now. It's shady. Like, plain and simple. Again, this doesn't fall on Meathead. Meathead is only given what he is given, and he can only say what he's allowed to say. Not his fault. But CG as a whole knows what this behavior is. They know what they're encouraging, and they're doing it on purpose to some degree. Because even if they were completely oblivious to it, again, even if we're giving them all the benefit, completely oblivious, they know after today how we responded. Meathead was in the chat. Meathead said he was forwarding the comments to them. So they know now if there's not a release immediately before Quiggled goes live, they're doing it on purpose. Plain and simple. They want us to be in the dark as to the requirements for the air battle. And they're going ahead and hoping that people are going to invest in Quiggled because they already sunk cost into Captain Ithano and they don't want to miss out on the air battle rewards. Shady. I can't endorse any of this activity. I was really supportive and really high on air battles. Very excited. The first 2 were great for player economy. The 2 were great for getting players involved in the era. We had more R9s of those characters than I've ever seen before. Just a lot of engagement, and it didn't even take 2 arrows for them to completely shoot themselves in the foot and turn players against them. And Yeah, this isn't a good look. Plain and simple. Okay. That's what I got to say. Don't invest further unless you want to. Discretion is advised. We have no idea what's going to be required. The safest bet, you got two options for the safest bet. Cut your losses. Don't invest any further until you know something for a fact. That's one option. It sucks. It is what it is. Cut your losses with Ithano. Just leave it at that. The second option is, and this is what I did previously with Order 66 when we didn't know anything. We just had speculation. I was ready to R9 everything. Even though I only needed Oppo and CX2 for the Nightfall Era Battle, I had the relic materials to go for DCT and Scorch to R9 just in case they were required. That was already computed in my math. I knew whatever was going to happen. Even if I R9'd all of them, I was still okay with the rewards. If you have that figured out, if you believe that the rewards are going to be the same, if not better, and you believe that's okay, and you have the Horde, then go ahead and do what you will with Quiggled and Kicks. Take them to R9 if you want to. But I think those are the safest plays depending on what outcome you want. But honestly, I have no idea, and I can't really suggest anything further on that. It is what it is. We'll know more. I'll keep you updated as we get more information on that. One last thing that I want to cover, because it's just a trend. It has nothing to do with the air battles. I don't really do kit reveals. I don't want to do kit reveals because I don't really find them interesting unless we have the whole team. And we don't have the whole team. We have no idea what the context of this kid is. He can be complete garbage. He could be the best thing since sliced bread. We don't know. Just a couple things I want to point out. They said previously, I believe, that Captain Ithano was required at Relic 5. I think that's copying and pasting because of the previous air battles and Galactic Legend Mace Windu. Not previous air battles, previous marquees, and not Galactic Legend. Jeez, I'm all over the place. Jedi Master Mace Windu. Quiggled could be required at Relic 5, but Captain Ithano said he was going to be required for GL Hondo at Relic 5 too, and he wasn't. He's required at Relic 3. Don't be surprised if this ends up changing when we get the full requirement announcements. So I wouldn't jump to Relic 5 unless that's something you want to do, whether it be for the marquee or something else, because this could be completely wrong. It looks more like copying and pasting because we just keep seeing the Relic 5, and we already have the mistake. The second thing I want to point out is with Smugglers Run 3, we don't really have any information on it, just that it's going to be an economy event. The economy event you desired. Hondo at Relic 3 and Relic 9 required, so there's going to be multiple tiers. So that's really all we got, is that it's an economy event and Hondo's required. For Jabba, it's mostly mods. I think there might be some gear. The gear's kind of irrelevant, but I would hope that there's some ability materials in here, whether it be Zetas or Omicrons, because we're falling behind. Some people have been monitoring it and they don't realize that we're falling behind, or they think we're not. There's a couple reasons that we're not falling behind on some people, and then other people are falling behind. The main reason that people don't actually see that we're falling behind because they're tracking their Zetas is because we had 3 events this year that dropped bonus Zetas. If you want to rely on those and say like that's part of it too, that's a fair argument, and we're not falling behind if you're able to hoard and take advantage of those bonus Zeta drops. But for a lot of people, they're not. Whether it's because they don't have the crystals, or because they didn't have the hoarding strategy properly, or because they didn't 7-star the characters in time, because a lot of those bonus drops only occur after you've already 7-starred the character, right? So it's not consistent for everybody. For example, in the last one, I hadn't 7-starred, I think it was Wrecker or Crosshair, one of the two. So I didn't get Zetas until the very end. So we're falling behind in Zeta economy. Essentially, we get about 4 per month in Zetas. We get a little bit more, and it depends on all the areas of the game that you take part in. Some people have everything maxed out, other people don't. But if you're at endgame and you have all the events unlocked that you're supposed to that reward Zetas, and you're doing those religiously, then you get about 84 Zeta mats per month. And that depends on your fleet rank too, to a large degree. So that's the equivalent of 4 Zeta abilities per month. Well, their current trend before, marquees were doing 1 Zeta. They usually had a unique or a leader that was a Zeta. Now the current trend is 2 to 3. I think there was one bad batch, it might be Hunter, that had one Zeta only. The rest had 2 or 3. And so far, the trend is continuing. All the pirates have Zetas. If you release 2 marquees a month with 2 Zetas each, that takes up your Zeta economy. That takes up your Zeta materials. The problem is every Galactic Legend has 6 and every Legendary or Epic Confrontation has 3. And every Conquest unit has 3. So we're rapidly running out of Zetas for this year. The only thing keeping some of us afloat in that regard is the fact that they're having bonus events and we're able to take advantage of those bonus events because we have the character at 7 stars. But for a large majority of the player base, we're just falling behind. There's no way to keep up unless you're buying Zetas through some other means. Omicrons we're actually doing a little bit better on. We're actually gaining, but again, it depends entirely in what area of the game you're partaking. If you're doing the episode pass, you're going to get more. If you're doing the marquees and stuff, you're going to get more. If you're doing the air battles, you're going to get more. But if you're not taking advantage of those things, then I think you might be falling behind a little bit. I'm not entirely sure because I've been dealing with the episode pass and stuff. So I can't really gauge on that, but I know on Zetas we're falling behind because I think in the current trajectory for the era of piracy, we're expected to get 19 between Hondo, the Conquest unit, and all the marquees if the trend of 2 per marquee continues. And we're only going to make 14 Zetas in that time. So I'm hoping with Smugglers Run 3 that there's Zetas in here and maybe Omicrons. That would be nice too. Considering those are the most valuable thing, I would expect there to be at least a couple of those. With Leia's event, there was an Omicron. I just got 3 on the indoor escalation today, so I'm pretty happy about that. But yeah, that's my hope, that they fix that with the Smugglers Run 3. But I just wanted to bring attention to the latest trend for marquees keeps continuing. So all the marquees this year, I think only one of them has had one Zeta. Every other marquee this year has had multiple Zetas. And I don't like that trend if we continue to get the same Zeta output, essentially. So hopefully they fix this. Hopefully we start getting more Zetas. But be very careful about what Zetas you're applying. Don't apply Zetas just because they're the new hotness. Make sure you actually are going to use the character to some degree and then decide then. But I wouldn't apply Zetas until you actually are going to need to apply the Zeta for something, to get something. I wouldn't do it based on speculative PvP value because, well, PvP value, that's a whole nother video. I'll get into PvP value, but yeah, that's all I wanted to let you know. Okay, thank you very much. Go ahead and leave a like if you got any usefulness out of this. Subscribe to the channel for more videos and hit that notification bell so you know when they go up. Thanks. Have a good one.